This episode discusses child exploitation, drug-related deaths, and other sensitive topics. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to The Heat Is On, an investigative miniseries by Scrolling to Death in partnership with Heat Initiative. I'm Nikki Petrosi, host of Scrolling to Death.
And I'm Sarah Gardner, CEO of the Heat Initiative, and we are here to turn up the heat on big tech. Whether you're a parent, educator, or just somebody who cares about kids, we are here to give you the data, tools, and fire you need to help us put pressure on big tech.
Today, The Heat Is On Snapchat.
From a disappearing nude app in 2011 to a struggling but still dominant social media platform in 2025, Snapchat's history is a mix of innovation, imitation, and controversy. It began in 2011 when Stanford students Evan Spiegel, Bobby Murphy, and Reggie Brown built an app called Peekaboo to send disappearing nudes, quickly rebranded as Snapchat. Within a year, teens were sending over 20 million snaps a day. In 2013, Facebook tried to buy Snapchat for $3 billion, but the founders refused. A year later, usage had skyrocketed to 700 million snaps a day, right as the FTC sanctioned Snapchat for misleading users about how private those snaps really were. Snapchat kept innovating. Discover and AR filters in 2015, a rebrand as Snap Inc. in 2016. They rolled out Snap Map in 2017 and celebrated a $24 billion IPO the same year. Snap has faced consistent backlash for the growing harms to children and responded with a parental control system called Family Center in mid-2022. Today, with over 450 million users, Snapchat continues to face growing criticism for enabling drug poisonings and deaths, connecting children with predators, and enabling an overall unsafe culture for teens everywhere.
When it comes to Snapchat, this is probably the platform I get the most messages about from parents being concerned about giving their kids access, but feeling like they have to because kids only communicate via Snap is what I keep hearing over and over. And so I think it's really important today that we bring parents through all of the risks of that platform so they are aware of those before they grant their kids access.
Yeah, because somehow as someone who is less familiar with Snap than you, I do keep hearing too this idea of like, oh, my kids don't have access to social media, but they use Snap to talk to their friends. And then they're like, they always caveat it too, like just to message with their friends. So I feel like there's a culture of you have to have Snap in order for your kid to connect with their friends. And also that somehow it's like more locked down or it's just them talking to like their 5 friends.
Yeah.
That's how people at least understand it. So that's how they're like justifying to like giving access and not in a blame way, just like that's genuinely what parents think.
I think we're going to learn today that it was built on purpose for parents to think it's only a messaging app and not know about all the other functionality that exists. Another mom, I just remembered, messaged me yesterday and said, my friend lets her kid have it because she thinks it's the safest option. It's the least safe option, in my opinion. Before we start digging into the harms of Snapchat, I want parents to really understand how this platform began. And we're going to bring in attorney Laura Marquez Garrett to show us or to describe to us how Snapchat started. So Laura represents thousands of families who are suing Snap and other social media companies for harm to children. So we're going to watch a clip from Laura now.
What we're going to talk about today is a company that was founded by 3 Stanford frat boys. They're having these ragers where they're talking about the Blackout Express. They're talking about procuring cocaine and alcohol for co-eds. They are having incredibly inappropriate conversations, even by sort of stereotypical frat boy standards. It's pretty gross. It's pretty gross stuff. And so one of these guys comes in and says, man, wouldn't it be great if we could send stuff like sex pics with co-eds, right? Wouldn't it be great if we could send stuff out and make it disappear so it doesn't come back to us? And that's when Evan Spiegel, the sort of leader of the founder, CEO, all of it, says that's $1 million idea. So these three guys start creating this app and they call it Peekaboo. And everyone Evan Spiegel speaks to, we have this on public record, says the only people that are going to use this, it's going to be for sex. It's going to be for stuff that they don't want people to find. And they call it Peekaboo. And one of the first mock-ups of an advertisement says, send your boyfriend pics for peeps, not keeps. So this product is Peekaboo. It is for sexting. Everyone has said like bad stuff and sexting. That's all this is going to be used for. And so then what happens is they launch this product and they start looking at the demographics of who's using it. It becomes popular at that high school and among high schools. So they look at the stats and they say, whoa, it's high school kids. How do we know? Because we know they're in class during the day. We know this, we know that. Wow, our demographic is not adults who want to commit crimes and have sex when they're maybe not supposed to be or not have the evidence around. It's actually children. So what do? They flip to Snapchat. They slip on the bright logo. They slap on the bright logo. They change their marketing. They don't change a damn thing in the product, by the way. So parents out there, the product that you know as Snapchat for children is actually Peekaboo, a sexting app made for adults.
Creating some kind of app for adults to send nudes, whatever. That's not, if you want to do that and you're an adult, be my guest. The part that is so damning of this is that they realized it was popular with kids.
Right.
And we're like, cool. Let's just like let kids use this functionality, and didn't think, wow, this setup of like a disappearing message is going to lead to like really dangerous things for kids.
And we're going to see discovery documents from internal documents from Snapchat today that shows that they knew that disappearing messages would cause harm to children. Predators and criminals would use it to do bad things to kids, and they pushed forward anyways. And then they continued to roll out additional functionality that was bad for kids, addictive and otherwise, knew it was bad and still did it. And so the problem for me, the biggest problem is they knew it would be harmful for kids. They just saw dollar signs. And they continue today to target children with this app. I mean, the app is cartoons and filters and avatars and all these things that are attractive to children. They have a partnership with McDonald's. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I mean, the partnership with McDonald's is especially like now in 2025, knowing how bad the dangers are, they themselves have multiple places on their website where they talk about like sextortion fears, and like we're going to talk about the drug crisis on Snap, like to then proactively place your product and do brand marketing with McDonald's, and like where you're clearly targeting not just like minors but younger kids.
Right.
Like it's not like an ad that looks like it's designed for like an 18-year-old to be attractive to an 18-year-old. It's an ad that looks like it's designed to like be cool for a 12-year-old or like a kid who's even like getting a Happy Meal there.
Yeah, it's cartoon characters is like the basis of that partnership. It's very similar to what the tobacco industry did with like creating this Joe Camel character to market cigarettes to young people. It's like the same.
Yeah.
So today we have over 20 million US teens using Snapchat. I looked up like how many teens are in the US. So that's almost half of all teens in the US using this platform. And we're going to tell you why that's bad. Snapchat has added over the years much more dangerous functionality, which enables drug dealing, sexual predators, addictive and compulsive use, cyberbullying, and other real-life dangers.
Yeah, so today we're going to like break down what are the exact dangers that your kid could face on Snapchat and tell you why they're so dangerous and like how we can also push back.
And a lot of this information is taken from actual internal documents that have been exposed from Snapchat. And so this is like real validated stuff that we're dealing with.
These are not just harms that are happening to a few kids across the country. They're happening to thousands, if not millions of kids. So now we're going to hear from Jonathan Haidt, the author of The Anxious Generation.
Snapchat is harming children at an industrial scale. This is not just a few hundred victims, a few thousand. This is not even a few million victims. This is an industrial scale.
Okay, so when you said thousands, maybe we meant millions. Like the majority of kids using Snapchat are getting harmed in some way, and that's what we're going to break down now. When I think of Snapchat, I think of fentanyl and the fentanyl epidemic. Social media generally plays a huge role in this deadly epidemic, the drug sales that have resulted in a 350% increase in teen deaths over the past 3 years. And what's happening here is kids, primarily on Snapchat, are getting pushed drug content. We're going to talk about whether kids are seeking it out or they're getting pushed it. Primarily, they're getting pushed some kind of drug content or quick added a drug dealer. They're curious because they're teenage kids who might want to experiment. They think that they're buying a pill, like an actual prescription pill, like Adderall or Percocet, and they buy a pill. The drug dealer delivers it to their house like a pizza, and they try it, and sometimes even half a pill, and it has fentanyl in it, and the kid dies.
It's just such a mind-boggling reality that this is happening. Do you also think that it's because this has happened with other crimes against children, the internet part facilitates it? Like Snap is facilitating it, making it much easier for a kid to be curious. They're being recommended the drug dealer.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I'll just swing by your house. If you think about it, without the Snap context, is that kid likely to go out in person, down a street, talk to people, try and figure out who's the guy selling drugs in which part of the city? It's the ease. Right. They're making it so much easier.
And not only are they making it so much easier, right, they're recommending it. And we talked proactively recommending it to kids that would have no other business doing that. And normalizing it. When they see it in the feed all the time, they think that's something that is interesting and that they should try, when they shouldn't even be seeing all of that at all.
Right. It's not their fault that they're curious or what is that? And then all of a sudden they're talking to a guy and he's like, oh, I can just bring it to your house.
Yeah. And we brought in Laura Marquez Garrett, who we explained before represents thousands of families who are suing social media companies like Snap. And we asked them about, aren't there drugs on all social media platforms? Is it just Snapchat?
I believe that 95% or more of all of the fentanyl poisoning deaths among American youth occurring through a social media source is happening on Snapchat. Now, maybe the number is 75, maybe it's 85, maybe it's 95. At the end of the day, the answer is you have one app that is involved in more of these deaths than every other app put together by a lot.
Just hearing those numbers, it's so staggering. How long and when do you think Snap realized they had this drug problem, and how long have they known?
Last year, we got access to some inside documents through a lawsuit. The state of New Mexico sued Snapchat. And that's when we learned kind of when they really knew. Now, one document, I'm going to read it here, is a Snap communications director, so this is from 2019, complaining internally that while the company was pushing back fiercely on the claim that illegal drug content was particularly bad on Snapchat, so this person says, from what we can see, drug dealing, both buying and selling, has increased significantly. So that's them admitting in 2019 that drug dealing was a problem on their platform, that the problem was increasing. But what I want to challenge here is that they knew long before this. And so we brought in a parent who probably knows more about this topic than anyone else. Amy Neville lost her 14-year-old son, Alexander, to fentanyl through Snapchat in 2020. And Amy has been an incredible advocate, educating parents all over the world about this problem and putting pressure on Snapchat. And so we're going to play a little clip from Amy now.
I believe Snap knew as early as 2017 that they had a drug problem on their platform, because one of the articles I first came across was from 2017 that basically said, hey, Snap, you have a drug problem on your platform, and if you don't get a handle on it, it's going to get out of control. And here we are, living that out of control space.
So if Snap knew that they had a drug problem 8 years ago, then how are we here now in 2025? And also, more specifically, why does everyone not know? Because that's the thing that's so scary that I find is I feel like I'm breaking this news to parents all the time. How have they suppressed it so well?
You're right. Parents not only don't know about the drug problem on Snapchat, but some parents think that Snapchat is the safer option. The first clip that I want to play is from a Rolling Stone reporter who did a deep dive into the drug problem on Snapchat in 2024. And I interviewed him last year, and I want to play this clip because Paul talked to several of the executives at Snapchat about this problem, and I want you all to hear what they said.
So, when I spoke to Snapchat, And I did for the better part of 5 months. I asked them why, when they became aware in 2017 that drug dealers had moved from schoolyards and street corners to Snapchat, why they hadn't immediately posted warnings, why they hadn't immediately held a press conference to say, parents, children, beware. I asked that question over and over to 3 different Snapchat executives.
Okay. What did they say?
Time and again, it's in our terms of service.
What's in their terms of service?
That there could be drug content on their platform? Have you read the terms of service? Does anyone read their terms of service?
It's in their terms of service?
That's what the executive said back to him, that people should know because they've put it in their terms of service.
So in their McDonald's ad, does it say, please download Snapchat * there could be drug dealers on this platform?
No, because to read the terms of service, you'd actually have to, I mean, who does that? No one is reading these. They're just agreeing as they sign up.
First of all, Paul definitely went to Shakespearean school.
Oh my gosh, Paul.
The drama.
The drama. He's so funny.
He's so great. When I hear Paul say that, like, the thing going off in my head right away is liability.
Right.
Because if they do a press conference where they're like, well, we know there are a bunch of drug dealers on the platform, they're from a legal standpoint, they're realizing they're going to end up where they are now, which is that people are going to be like, if you had knowledge of it and still facilitated it, then you would be liable.
Right. Liable because this next point is crazy. And we already touched on this, but I want to give some stats. They're not just allowing drug dealers to contact kids. They are recommending the drug dealers to kids. And so some of the internal documents, we have Snap employees sending around media reports showing that drug dealers were finding buyers through Snap's quick ad feature, and that per their analysis, on average, at least 700,000 Snapchatters are exposed to drug content every single day. 700,000 kids use this platform, exposed to drug content every single day. And that, in testing, it takes under a minute to use Snapchat and be in a position to purchase illegal substances.
That's from Snap themselves?
That's from the internal Snapchat documents.
This is like a Aaron Brockovich situation.
It gets worse and worse. This is going to get worse.
Yeah. Just the knowledge of how bad it is and the hiding it. The covering it up. Paul's article is so... Please, I do encourage you to go read it. So just Google Rolling Stone
Snapchat
opioid. Paul's article comes up. There's the summer that Alex died, Amy Neville's son. And there's a section of the article where it talks about parents literally in her neighborhood reaching out to her being like, oh, I know the drug dealer because they killed my kid 2 weeks after. Kids were literally, it's like they're getting murdered in real time.
Right.
It's so sad. And the fact that they didn't, to your point, shut it down in that moment is just so tragic.
And what we're going to learn soon is that, Snapchat is alerted when this happens, when a child dies. And there's often subpoenas for records. And they tend to ignore that subpoena or not take the drug dealer down. And we're going to dig into that in a minute.
Okay, so something that is shocking that every parent needs to know is that even when it gets reported to Snap that there is a drug dealer on their platform, they don't always take action and remove them, which is such a wild idea that could happen. And unfortunately, one of our friends who had lost his child because of Snap's negligence on this very issue had to live this reality of the fact that they don't take action. And so our friend Aaron lost his son Avery Ping tragically after obtaining drugs from Snap. But his story is so much bigger than that because Avery was a child who was flourishing in life and had a big, bright future ahead of him. And he had only been on Snap maybe a few months when this happened. And Aaron and his family had taken such precautions to make sure he was safe. They were on top of it. And Avery obtained this pill and then it was all over so fast. And it's a tragic, tragic story. and one that Aaron bravely talks about often publicly. So we spoke to Aaron about this and the fact that specifically Avery's drug dealer had been flagged for Snap before.
They knew about Travis on Snap because they had already provided material to law enforcement about him. And then what we can assume is they didn't remove him at that time, or do you think he just got removed and signed up with different information?
No, they didn't. They didn't remove him at the time. He was using the same username. Not only was he using the same username up until Avery died, but the police public records actually show that he was communicating on that same username. It was December 31st was the last messages that I saw in their reports. So another 12 days after Avery died, he was still on that platform using the same username. And who knows if they ever took it down. We don't know.
Why would they not just take it down even out of precaution?
After Snapchat had already been subpoenaed for this drug dealer, Travis on Snap, his records, before Avery died. And then also he remained active after Avery died. And Aaron acted quickly and was able to see how Snap was involved when that happened. So Snapchat knew very well that this was a drug dealer selling deadly drugs on their platform. Great question. Like, why wouldn't they take this person down? So that was in the end of 2024, right? So that's pretty recent. But I want to go back a little bit to show you what Snap has done about this problem. So back in 2021, and this is all kind of like PR announcement type stuff, but back in 2021, Snap says, we have reviewed 1.5 million pieces of drug content for drugs, deleted 1 million of those, and deleted 500,000 drug sale related accounts. These dealers had previously gone undetected, and they said they went above and beyond. It's 35 times the number of dealers reported by end users. Like, what is that flag for you? There's like how much drug content is on their platform.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's the scale, like going back to what John said about it's the scale of it and the fact they know the ages of the kids on the platform, the fact that the drug content, like you said, is getting proactively recommended to them. It's just like all of it together equals such a danger zone.
Another thing that Snap did that was a big PR play was in 2022, they partnered with a nonprofit to create National Fentanyl Prevention Awareness Day, stating that safety of their community is paramount. But again, like this was just a PR play, and parents who've lost children didn't fall for it. I want to play a very quick clip of Aaron again.
At the end of April, Snapchat has this Fentanyl Awareness Day, some little PR, stunt that they've put together because they're killing so many kids.
That's what parents think of that.
Yeah, you mean the parents who've lost their kids.
The parents who've lost their kids, or parents that know that they're killing kids.
But this is what I'm saying about like the whole takeaway from this episode should be that Snapchat has buried the fact that they have drug dealers on the platform that are killing kids because people still don't know. They don't know. Somehow they have like pushed it down and kept their PR positive, and it's just crazy.
So despite really they have done very little prevention of this. And so obviously drugs are still proliferating on Snapchat. There's a report from this September 2025 with test accounts on Snapchat as teenagers showing that drug dealers were very easy to find. They had words like coke and weed and molly in their usernames. And when researchers reported the drug dealers to Snapchat, only 1 in 4 were removed.
Unacceptable.
So over the years, parents started realizing how much Snapchat was involved in their children's deaths. And so they tried to meet with Snapchat early on. There was meetings I've been told about where Snap basically told them, you cannot sue us because of the legal immunities that they enjoy. But there has been some progress. Amy Neville is the lead plaintiff on a new lawsuit. Not new, I think it was filed in 2023. But this one is 63 families suing Snapchat. All of the victims were between ages 14 and 22, and only 2 of them survived. And this case is huge because it's the first time a court has allowed parents to hold social media companies or a social media company accountable for facilitating the sale of deadly drugs. And we asked Amy for an update on this case, and so we're going to play that clip now.
We are suing because we want them to change their platform. We want them to make it safe by design. And without that pressure, they're not going to, I believe that they won't do anything. So it is honestly to get them to change their ways, to make a safe space for our kids. And I would love to see them own up to what they've allowed to happen on their platform, but that's probably the stretch. So the lawsuit is currently in discovery. I have been answering questions from Snap, some early questions, and we don't expect to be in court probably until early 2027.
These families that are bringing these cases are so brave because they're doing it because they want other kids to survive.
Yeah.
But then it's our job in the interim to alert everybody to the harm so that so many thousands more kids don't die by the time this lawsuit is seen through. So since I've been educated on Snap specifically and this fentanyl element of it, like I have already started saying to my kids, so my boys are 10 and 8, no matter what, you cannot buy a pill on Snapchat. Even if you're interested in drugs, even if you want to explore, like come to me, like we'll talk, we'll have a conversation. You cannot obtain a pill from someone you don't know. And just to be clear, that is Snap. That is what Snap is facilitating and creating. And so the more we can spread the word around that, it is like an urgent cry. It's not a blame. We're not shaming and blaming anyone right now who has access to it or whatever. Just get that message out there that whatever you do, you can't trust anything you buy off of that platform.
Anything you buy online, really, at all.
Yeah.
And, even if you decide I'm going to restrict Snapchat all through their childhood, kids can sign up for these platforms so easily. Hopefully not forever. Hopefully we can make
McDonald's.
it harder. Or they can just scan the QR code at McDonald's and get on Snapchat. And so you do have to start talking to them about drugs and medicine. And we have 5-year-old daughters, and talking to them about like, you only take medicine that your mommy gives you or a doctor gives you, and that's it. I mean, just those early conversations over and over and over repeated can help to stem the tide of this really serious and deadly epidemic.
Because kids are trusting too. So even if it's not your kid, their friend could get it.
Yeah.
So I gave my 8-year-old this whole speech, like, don't take stuff you don't know. And then the next day, a mom friend of mine was like, well, that clearly landed because her son had gotten like a Snickers somewhere, and then he was like, will you eat this to my kid? And he was like, oh yeah, sure. So I was like, hello.
So at our old public school, one of the kids was throwing up because he had taken a fish oil vitamin that another kid brought to school. A pill that could have really been anything.
Right.
And the kid still threw up, but it could have been anything. And so kids think that it's okay unless we tell them and really drill it into them.
Yeah.
Now we are going to move into a section about sextortion and sexual predators. I want to start off this part of the conversation by playing a clip from our chat with the author of The Anxious Generation, Jonathan Haidt. We talked about why predators choose Snap.
If you are a sex criminal or a drug dealer, this is a really good way to talk because the evidence disappears, and it literally disappears. Like Snapchat does not have the correspondence. You have all these boys who killed themselves after being sextorted. Snapchat does not have any record of how this was done. The greatest harm is that Snapchat is extremely good at connecting children to strangers. Some of those strangers want sex or money from them.
Predators like Snapchat because the evidence disappears. Remember the origin of this company.
Yep.
Still applicable today. And we're going to talk about sextortion here because Snapchat is a platform that criminals use to sextort children. Sarah, can you tell listeners who aren't familiar with sextortion what we're talking about here?
Yeah, and this is an instance where, to your earlier point, the design of Snap would attract people who want to sexually abuse and exploit kids because they can easily get in contact with them on Snap. Then they can groom them or exploit them or extort them and ask them for a nude photo after they've gained their trust. And then all of the evidence of that crime disappears. So they are attracted to a platform where they can find their victim, groom their victim, extort their victim. And this, when we talk about sextortion, it can often include asking for either more nudes, like I'm going to share your naked photos with all your friends and family unless you do this, unless you do more, or extorting them for money. If you don't send me $600 on Venmo, I'm going to share these nude photos that you've shared with me with your family and friends. And it is isolating for a child and extremely dangerous because they feel alone and scared and that they made some kind of mistake that they can't fix.
And I'm going to say some numbers here. So Snapchat gets 10,000 reports each month of sextortion. So these are victims of sextortion saying, I need help, I'm being sextorted, right? But a Snapchat employee in the internal documents admitted that this number, 10,000, was likely a small fraction of what is actually happening on Snapchat related to sextortion. So we brought in cyber analyst and cybercrime expert Paul Raphael to ask him if he can give us an idea of the real scale of harm.
Yeah, 10,000 cases a month, it's shocking, but I don't think that represents even close to the real number. The data that we have seen come out from Snapchat, like 65% of Gen Z being targeted in sextortion schemes, that's the majority of young people these days being targeted. We know from the Australian Federal Police that they estimate that less than 1 in 10 victims of sextortion actually report this crime to authorities, to platforms. So if they're seeing 10,000 cases, I would be willing to bet the number is much closer to 100,000 cases.
One of these victims that Paul Raphael is referencing is Jack Sullivan, and we had the chance to talk to his parents about this crime. Here's more from that clip.
Tuesday evening, January 3rd, 2023. Jack and I were sitting on the sofa watching a movie. He was approached on his phone, right? Just sort of a regular introduction, the way we've heard now. Unfortunately, we've heard plenty of these same stories. And approached from Instagram, and once the conversation picked up a little bit of momentum, the perpetrator said, hey, how about we switch to Snap? So 18 hours after this first approach, Jack passed. So that whole conversation, I believe, was Snapchat.
Can you explain who this person was pretending to be and who it actually was?
The approach is a young female. Jack was 20 years old and in his winter break of his sophomore year at Kutztown University, which is a state university here in Pennsylvania. And very quickly, she pretended to be a Kutztown student. I think I know you from class, that sort of connection. The reality is it was a 26-year-old Nigerian.
And like with fentanyl, Snap has known about the sextortion issue on their platform for many years. I'm going to have you read, Sarah, a couple of stats, and these are from Snap's internal documents from a few years ago.
Okay, so you're hearing this reference many times in this episode that we have all these internal documents from Snap. That's because there are these big lawsuits that have come out, and so now these internal documents are now of public record. A series of those internal documents reveal Snap employees sort of alerting other Snap employees about where they stand on like the list or the ranking of how bad the platform is for certain crimes against kids. So this is how they rated themselves. They rated themselves the second most common platform used for sextortion after Instagram, the first parent-reported platform for sharing child sexual abuse material, number 1 platform where most minors have reported having an online sexual interaction, and the number 1 platform for the recruitment of sex trafficking victims.
And again, this is the number 1 platform that these children are using to message each other, and parents think that it's a messaging platform. But if they had a list of these threats or these rankings at the top of the App Store, like no parent would let their child use this to message other people.
So way back in November of 2021, Snap circulated a report that identified specific types of harms on the platform with examples. And these harms included facilitating the grooming of children, and a child predator capping, which is the capture of a webcam conversation with a child, usually with the aim of getting them to perform sexual acts or undress. Whew.
Yeah. So these are internal reports that Snap knows 4 years ago that is happening.
Yep.
Adults trying to get kids to undress on camera, then taking that imagery and selling it and trading it on Snapchat. And I mean, this even mentions human exploitation and prostitution happening through Snapchat. There are even examples of predators finding minors as young as 8 years old through Snapchat and obtaining and selling their child sexual abuse material. You know, all these online threats are really, really terrible and important to learn about. But, you know, what's also horrible is that these online threats are turning into real life harms. And Snapchat really instigated this by releasing a Snap Map in 2017. And I don't even know that many parents know that that exists, but it's like a geolocator that shows where a child is, like down to the exterior of the building that they're in. And anyone that they're connected to can see exactly where they are.
That's insane. What is the point of Snap Map? Like, how could it be like positive?
So Snap says that they want people to get together in person. So this is encouraging them to put the phone down and meet up in person.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
But with other people that you've just quick added?
Right.
Like weirdos that you just...
Let alone like a bunch of kids seeing that their friends are all together somewhere and they didn't get invited. Like you can see where all your friends are. I mean, I know that the iPhone allows you to do this too with the Find My app or whatever phone you're using, but this is something that...
Not like that.
Not like this.
I recently set up a Snap account just to sort of see the state of play as a 15-year-old. And like the Snap Map part is so freaky because first of all, I was like, I don't want to tell anybody where I am, but also like who was popping up.
Yeah.
And just like, I could have and it's like encouraging me so hard to quick add them.
Yeah.
So those are then the people that Snap is saying you should be like meeting up with in person.
Right. Yeah. And did you add people before it started?
I didn't add anybody. I didn't add any contacts. I didn't add anybody. I was just like, I want to come in and like observe.
And so these are predators that are literally nearby geographically your child.
That's so scary.
And to kind of wrap this like part up, I Google the word Snapchat every week just to see what the news headlines are. And they're always filled with headlines like these. Connecticut man raped girl he met on Snapchat. UK Snapchat predator jailed for 14 years for raping girl 12. Aurora man gets 11 years for sexually assaulting a teen he met on Snapchat. And interspersed between those bad headlines are PR articles from Snapchat itself saying how great and safe they are.
It's wild. It's like a cover-up of like really scary shit that can happen on Snap. I also wonder if something that might be like holding us back is that when it happens to a family, there's a feeling of like they weren't diligent enough or they didn't protect a kid enough. And it's like, that's how that happened. They let their kid have access to it instead of like, this is a crime that is being facilitated. That you're putting vulnerable, innocent children in, and there should be the burden is not on. This isn't like a parent issue of them not trying hard enough. Like, it's just such an inherently unsafe place that this is happening. And we need to blame the abusers and the perpetrators and the people who are facilitating it without questioning it.
100%. And thank you for bringing that up because I get a lot of parent comments that still like to blame the parent for the child even having access to the platform. But no parent wants to put their child in harm's way. Parents are making decisions based on the information that they have at hand. And Snapchat and companies like it are hiding the harms from parents. So we think we're making a safe choice when in actuality, they know about the harms and they're lying to us about it. So parents need to come together and work together to pressure these companies to be safer and to stop lying.
So what else happens on an app where you have a bunch of kids with messages that disappear? And the sad answer is cyberbullying. So according to Bark Technologies, which is a company that makes child-safe devices, They put out an annual report, and in that annual report, it states that 77% of teens experience cyberbullying, primarily happening on social media sites like Snap and others.
And on Scrolling to Death podcast, I have interviewed tons of families who have lost children to suicide after being cyberbullied, specifically on Snapchat. And some of these kids tried so hard, like they were being bullied anonymously. They wanted to figure out like who was doing this to them and fix it. And they couldn't figure it out because of the anonymized features and the disappearing messages. And I want to name a couple of these kids right now. We have Carson Bride, who passed at 16. We have Nate Bronstein, who passed at 14. And we have Selena Rodriguez, who passed away at 11 years old from suicide after being viciously cyberbullied, but also sexually preyed upon through platforms like Snapchat. You can hear their full stories in my interviews with their parents on Scrolling to Death. This is something that, again, in Snap's own research, they are aware of. A report that we have access to from July of 2023 noted that core Snap features, specifically ephemerality, which means the disappearing messages, location sharing, and streaks, are directly connected to specific parental concerns like bullying, inappropriate contact with either peers or strangers, and mental health. I remember when Snapchat came out, and a lot of people liked it for the silly filters. I actually remember putting my little kids' babies' faces on there to like have the funny ears or whatever happened. Over time, Snapchat added a lot more filters. And over time, some of these filters actually became deadly. I'm going to play a clip for you, Sarah. This is me reporting on Snap's speed filter. I don't think you've seen this before. Back in 2013, Snapchat rolled out a new filter called the speed filter. It would show you how fast you're going at the time of your snap. So what did kids and teens do with this filter? They used it when they were driving. They were encouraged by Snapchat to try to get to 100 miles per hour. In fact, they got an in-app trophy when they reached 100 miles per hour. So kids are being rewarded to drive fast. As you can imagine, the Snapchat speed filter resulted in many car crashes and many deaths. In 2016, an 18-year-old girl named Crystal McGee was trying to get to 100 miles per hour to try to get that trophy on Snapchat. She crashed into a car carrying the Maynard family, leaving one of their family members with permanent brain injuries. Also in 2016, 22-year-old Pablo Cortez was driving and recording a Snapchat video at the time. The video using the speed filter showed that he got up to 115 miles per hour. He then crashed and 5 people were killed, including Pablo, his friend, a young mother, and her 2 children. I recently interviewed Meg Stumer, whose daughter was involved in an accident in 2021, where a 14-year-old girl was killed. They were using the Snap speed filter and trying to reach 200 miles per hour. So finally in 2021, Snapchat removed the speed filter after 8 years of deadly car crashes encouraged by this function of Snapchat.
Wow, that's crazy.
Can you believe? Can you believe that even, how would that even get through? Who thought of that?
Well, also, once there was one car crash, were they like, this is stupid? How are you supposed to do that safely? Why would you reward someone going 100 miles an hour? There's no logical way that makes sense.
I'm going to play one more clip from an attorney, Mike Neff, who represents a family who has been harmed by Snap's speed filter.
Represent a man who was hit by a driver at a high rate of speed, and he has significant brain damage. And our understanding is the driver was using Snapchat at the time of the wreck. It's kind of terrifying to think that a family could be driving down the road and get wiped out because someone is driving irresponsibly in order to show off on social media.
So that was horrifying to me, But
no one knows about that either.
No one.
Maybe people who used it know, but not that all these people died.
I think maybe people who use it, who are responsible, would never use it while they're driving. I mean, what I'm hearing from people in the room is that they used it while they were on an airplane to see how fast they're going. Right. That could be kind of fun, I guess.
But not as a challenge to a teenager.
So where's the just checks and balances of what's appropriate, what's safe? I don't see it within the filters on Snapchat. So the harms that we've talked about, they are widespread, but more commonly, Snapchat is addicting children and actually requires addiction to be profitable. Lots of the functionality within Snapchat instigates compulsive use And one of those primary functions is the snap streak. So snap streak is what tracks the number of consecutive days you and a friend have sent each other snaps. And this is like currency to kids. And they will stress out so much if they like go on vacation or don't have service. They'll have someone else log into their account to make sure they keep up their snap streak. And also Snapchat has taken advantage of this by saying, oh, you broke your snap streak, you can pay an upgrade to get it restored. So kids are feeling so much stress and pressure over their snap streak. I mean, I've heard this from kids themselves.
That's how they're going to get them on addictive, like promotion of addictive.
Drives addiction. Yeah. And Snap employees knew this, they know this. In 2017, an internal email titled Snap Streak Distribution First Look highlighted several comments from employees, including one that said, wow, we should add more addicting features like this. In 2019, a presentation acknowledged that, quote, streaks make it impossible to unplug even for a day, and that, quote, maintaining streaks and keeping up with conversations causes pressure. And we can like see this playing out in real time with the industrial scale of harm, because 45% of teenagers who use Snapchat report that they use it almost constantly. They cannot stop.
It's really sad.
So another function that keeps kids on for hours at a time is called Spotlight. Many parents don't know that this exists.
Spotlight to me is also where it's like, this is social media.
Right.
But I mean, it's basically just, again, serving you content, recommending you content. That's the really important thing, right? Mm-hmm. And what kind of content and the nature of the content, especially for kids, is like a big question mark, right? Of whether these are positive themes that are being recommended to you, but it's also a traditional social media feed. Mm-hmm. So to try and make this distinction that somehow Snap is messaging only or something is so bogus.
Yeah, you just have to swipe over a couple times and you're on they call it Spotlight, but it's just like the For You feed on TikTok or Instagram where it's recommending to you user-generated content from anywhere on the platform. Yeah. And actually, I've been really perturbed by my 14-year-old test account on Snapchat. Maybe we want to just open up my Spotlight right now and kind of scroll through it and see what it's recommending to me. Okay, so first thing that happens is it wants me to and then it tells me to add all these friends. Okay.
Do you know those people?
No.
Great.
And then so you go to here.
Is that what it went to first?
Yeah. If you are so depressed, why are you still here? And then you have to scroll.
Why did it put you down this?
So I don't know, because I just scrolled very quickly it got to a steady stream of like depression content.
Can you tell it to like, you don't want this?
Not that I'm aware of. I know that Instagram is rolling something out where you can reset your algorithm if something like this were to happen. I hate everything about me. I hate how I look. I hate how I act. I hate my lips. I hate my teeth. I hate my nose. I hate my eyes. Like,
how do you get out of this?
I'm starting to question if I should just let the voices in my head win.
This is psychotic. But I don't understand. Can we tell it? I want to say stop it.
I'm slowly losing reasons to stay. If I was to look up, I need support because I'm feeling sad, that doesn't even fulfill the need. You know, that's making me feel more sad and like depression or like suicide is a way out of it.
It's crazy and so upsetting.
So these harms are terrible. Is it bad people doing bad things on Snapchat? Is it children misusing it? Or are children being harmed because of the functionality and the design of the platform itself? What we know for sure is that the product design does instigate harm. Can Snapchat fix it? Is there a way to make this safer? We're going to discuss that on the next episode. But we want parents to be involved in whatever we do to push back on Snapchat.
And maybe honestly right now is like, tell someone about one of the things, like share the speed filter stories, share the fentanyl stories, share, like just to start to let people know that it's even happening and at this scale.
On part 2 of The Heat is On Snapchat.
They create these family centers because they want parents to feel safe. They want parents to allow their kids to use them. But in reality, these are completely ineffective. They know it. We know it.
They eliminated the quick ad feature. That's really the thing that connects lots of people to strangers. Just eliminate the quick ad feature.
We have to create a public outcry. We have to get people to join us in this fight. We have to get to that critical mass. That's where the magic's going to happen, and that's where we're going to see these companies change their ways.
I'm at a point where I am questioning whether it can be fixed and made safe for kids because of the sheer design of it.
Thank you for tuning in to part 1 of The Heat is on Snapchat, where we broke down the harms that Snapchat pushes onto our children.
In part 2, we're going to take you inside Snapchat itself, revealing how the company responds when faced with the truth.
You'll hear what executives have told their own teams when safety features are proposed, and why families whose children have been harmed or killed say Snapchat has failed them. We will examine how the company resists working with law enforcement, expose the flaws in its so-called parental controls, and lay out what Snapchat could do to protect kids and discuss if protection on Snapchat is even possible. For the sake of our kids, let's bring the heat.